Hello, everyone, and I am very happy to be here today. Last two sessions, I was not able to be FP Live with you because there was some server issues, but I'm here today with a phenomenal woman who has been very warm, and I've had the pleasure to meet with. So, welcome, Meryl, to my show.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here. And back at you. You are equally warm.
Oh, thank you so much. So, before I move further, I wanted to share that this series, Women Instability in Times of Instability, is about all those women who inspire and from whom we can get motivated to pass these times of awakening and grow and yield better so that our future is much more, knowledgeable for us and we can exhibit much more growth. What do you have to say, Meryl? Don't you think so?
Absolutely. I think these times just test us.
That's right.
And it's all about sort of keeping the faith and being grateful for what you do have. That's
That's
what I
right.
believe.
So, viewers, in a very late study which just took place, it was found out that only 2% of the high end managerial senior roles is occupied by women. And probably what is easier is a digital forum where it is the potential is greater, the inclusiveness is more, and there is less of prejudice. And the invisible glass ceiling which is created for women is somewhere less visible when it comes to this digital platform. And to talk about all of this today, I have Meryl Diniz with me, who has shown her skills beyond excellence, who has stood up and spoken about as the lead communication head at Sheroes, the largest online community for women. And Meryl is going to speak more about it. So, welcome, Meryl, to my show. And before I start, I would like you to tell me one thing, that the bio that you told me, which I should say about you, was that you are Goan by birth and spirit, and you are a writer at heart. So I want you to begin today's talk by telling me that why do you say that you are a writer at heart? And Goa, all about Goa. What is it that is so beautiful about your city, about your native place?
Right, right. So, my journey with writing began when I was very young. As a child, I was a very timid child, very self-conscious. And I remember reading a book when I was about 12 years old. It was called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. All right. And it was a story of a young girl she was searching for God because both her parents came from two different religions. And the only way she could express herself was writing a diary every day. And inspired by her, I began writing my own diary. So I think when it began, it was more just about self expression and being able to do that without being judged. And I think as I grew older, when I was about 18 to 20 years old, I began writing for the local newspapers. And, for a person of that age, when you get paid, 300 bucks just to write something, it's a lot of validation. It gave me confidence. And it also made me understand that writing is like a tool. It can be leveraged to talk about issues that are important to society and to us. And now I focus a lot more on long form writing where I speak about different trends, like, for instance, women becoming wealth creators in India, or how accessible fashion, which is about making fashion relevant to people with disabilities, is a growing need. So I think I look at writing as a tool of self-expression and a platform to really talk about the most important issues of our times. And about the Goa piece, yes, I'm born and grew up Goa, and I spent my youth in the Middle East because my parents lived there for many years. But I think Goa for me is home. It's it's a beautiful culture and a beautiful space. We have wonderful music, food, and even literature and so many other cultural aspects of Goa, which I am really proud of. And I think I am thinking of in about 2 years' time going back and seeing how I can be more integrated in nation building in my own state.
Uh, but staying in Delhi, how is it different? Like, how long have you been in Delhi now?
I've been in Delhi for about I think 10 years. I
Hmm.
think living in a city is a very different experience. It makes you sort of tough. It makes you very savvy. It makes you understand how the world works, and the world is a complicated place, right? So it has strengthened me in other ways, and additionally, it's a political, it's like political capital, and it's also very socially aware. So it has influenced me in multiple ways, and I've also had a chance to work in some really wonderful organizations in Delhi, and the 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 vibe and the flavor is very different from working in a commercial capital like Mumbai, for instance. So I
So,
think
so
it's been
would you say in terms of uh, like the work growth, you moved to Delhi. So was it a reason for that, or is it like you thought that your growth or your writing skills is going to be reaching out more in a place like Delhi?
So honestly speaking, when I left Mumbai, I was living this very fast-paced life, and there was a lot of, the work hard and party harder. That was like the way I lived. And honestly, I just when I got an opportunity to leave Bombay, it wasn't really about coming to Delhi. It was more about escaping from one reality to discovering a new one. So I just came here, and I remember my parents were worried, and every friend I had said it's dangerous for women. You must not go there. How can you go there? Mumbai is fabulous, but I think I was like, I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and that's how I landed here. And I landed here in the days before the metro came up, so it was a lot more isolated. You didn't see so many women on the streets, but it was
Is
a
it
strengthening
not the same in
experience.
Goa? Like, would you say that people are much more native there, or what are the women like in Goa? I mean, I really want to talk about this cross culture because, being in Shiros, I'm sure there's so many different communities that you handle. So this cross
Yes,
culture, which I'm very interested in between Goa and
right,
Delhi. So if you could just
right,
tell
right.
about the culture about women, the thought process of women that is in Goa.
Right. I think, when you live in Goa and you are from Goa, you take so many things for granted. So, for instance, you take the idea that, like, you don't even really understand what is patriarchy because we live in a very culturally and socially open society there. And, like, we start drinking at home with our parents.
Awesome.
We have a socially vibrant life. So and we engage with people of the opposite gender right from childhood, right? So in many ways, we have a very open sort of lifestyle, and we don't have things like domestic violence and patriarchy. They might be subtly there, and there are cases of it, but it's not as intense as in certain other parts of the world and the country. So when I actually came to Delhi, I could feel the difference. I started feeling different, more conscious. But it also it kind of makes you realize how you take certain freedoms for granted, right? So
Right.
that was something that I discovered. But having said that, I think the women in Delhi, I've seen them to be really tough. Nobody can mess with them. And even if even if people are pushing, you push back, right? So
Right.
these difficulties make us sort of like
Yeah, I
fight
think
harder,
compared to
right?
that, the Kolkatans are not that tough. We are much more softer and hard, and maybe in a body language. I don't know. Maybe lot many women will disagree with me, but yes. So
I don't disagree. I agree with you. I know I have a lot of Bengali friends, and the vibe is like
uh-huh.
quite different.
Yes. So tell
Yes.
me, how did the the lead communication head at Cheetos, happen. And I would really want you, in very brief, to share with the viewers what is Sheroes, and
Yes.
because my journey with Sheroes is going very beautiful. I'm able to see amazing communities there. So if you could tell in a very brief and few lines about Sheroes and
Right.
your role in Sheroes and how that has defined your career.
Right. So Sheroes is the first and only women-only social network in the world. It has been exclusively designed around the goals, aspirations, and needs of women internet users. The bigger idea is to create an ecosystem that is accessible for women, and they can pursue different aspirations, whether it is financial independence, it is positive mental health, finding a community, um, making money, and becoming an entrepreneur or even a professional blogger. And it's a very inclusive community. We have women who might have a professional career. We have homemakers, students, senior women. All of them are building their identities, and they are also expressing themselves creatively. So it is an online ecosystem pretty much. So we do have offline meetups as well in various parts of the country. But I would say that the bigger vision is to have more and more women come online and experience like a safe space to be themselves, to not be judged, and to have a space which is constructive where they can invest in themselves, grow, have access to resources, etc. Sheroes is founded by Ms. Sari Chahal. She is the visionary founder of Sheroes. And in 2018, the Sheroes as a social network was launched, and women access it via sheroes.com and the Sheroes app.
Yes, because
So,
I have personally seen that you have amazing communities on Sheroes. It's on art, culture, food, cuisines, travel, writing, poetry,
yes,
entrepreneurship, corporate women. So there's a lot that women can experience there. So,
yes.
Meryl, would you like to tell us what is your role as a head of communications and how is your usual day in a Sheroes
Right,
office, and how is it
right.
different to then and now that we are in a lockdown? So what is the
Okay.
difference that you are feeling, and how far is it you know probably enlightening you, or is it diminishing your creativity? That is something which I really want to know.
Right, right. So I have been following Shiro since the beginning of its inception. And Sari has always inspired me by the way she speaks about women, and she speaks about the struggles and challenges as well as the potential of women, right? So that has always really inspired me. And the idea that we are creating like a wonderful product using technology for women, right? So it connects many dots. There's technology, there's women, there's internet, safe spaces. All of these come together through Sheroes. And I joined, officially as the head of communications in 2017. And my journey has been like a beautiful one, because it has helped me evolve not only as a professional but also personally. It's given me a lot of strength to really understand what is a safe space, um, what are the various channels that we can use as women to grow ourselves, to invest in ourselves. One of the wonderful things that Sheroes runs is the Sheroes Helpline, which is part of the platform, which is very active. Like women can talk to actual counselors, they can chat with actual counselors through their smartphones or through the web. And we heard it's sort of like a listening service, we say, and they talk about both
So it's
professional
like a
and
digital platform where women who have any sort of a problem, issue, expression, which they want to share, and they don't
yes,
have immediate anyone next to them in this
yes,
world where we usually find ourselves in solitude, or sometimes we want to just reach out to a stranger. This is a place where they can reach out to.
yes, yes. It's all about having trust,
Right,
and once you have that trust, you feel like expressing yourself, and then you get heard.
right.
And counseling is a very transformative experience. So that is what we have found. We have seen journeys of women who have taken counseling and how they have transformed and, sort of understood their feelings better and
How is it
learned how to
different
deal
now,
with
Meryl? Now that you are in a lockdown, you're in Delhi, you're away from Goa, but you are working full time
it.
now, being the head of communication. What do you think, as a professional, working professional, do you find that there is anything that's changed?
Yes, I think that we have been using a lot of online tools to communicate. But when you move into this kind of a scenario, you have to learn how to leverage technology in a much more precise and specific way, right? Because there's always a chance of not being able to use it in a way which is beneficial for you. So you can spend a lot of time online, you can ignore your health, etc. So one learning I've had is how to leverage it in the right way and to have the right tools and understand more tools which can be beneficial for you. So that's one. And the other, of course, is that it we all have to set up new routines, right? So now we don't have travel time, but at the same time, we have more responsibilities at home. So it's been very important to establish a new routine after the initial bit of the lockdown where you're just wondering, what is this whole thing, right? Like you're grappling with it. It's unprecedented. Nobody knows how it's going to pan out. So once you process that bit, starting the new routine has been very, very important. And so there are some fun things which I do now. Sometimes I have an online lunch with my colleagues where we're all, logged into some video conferencing app and we're having lunch. So we are trying to stay connected in different ways. Sometimes you can feel alienated and sometimes you feel there's too much of a intrusion. So I think it's important to find the right balance, I would say.
So yes, it's
And
important to find the right balance and to have these fun working times with your colleagues so that team spirit is still, flowing high, and maintain a routine. That's very, very important, because I'm hearing this, that many people are not able to maintain that routine, and that is like creating a lot of sleep patterns being haywire, and hence a lot of irritability and not being able to focus more on the work. So yes, definitely I agree to that. One important question I have, Meryl, is while we were discussing about Sheroes, and you wrote to me also, there is something that you talked about, the emotional labor of women. So would you want to say, and tell the viewers a little more about what do you mean by the emotional labor of women?
right, right. The emotional labor is something which has been discussed quite a lot, I would say, in the last 5 years. It basically refers to the responsibility that women have in terms of managing not just work but homes, right? We have to be a lot more invested in managing children, and then there are caregiving responsibilities, whether it is looking after children or a senior member of the family. Like a lot of these unpaid labor sort of tasks fall on women because somewhere um, these it's the onus is not equally divided, right? And during this lockdown especially, the amount of responsibility that women have had, no matter which strata of society that they are part of, has shot up, right? And you have children are away from school, so you have to understand how to engage them properly. And plus, there are like I think for especially for the middle class, everybody is used to having a house help, right? The house help is not available now, so you have to do a lot of things on your own, which has its pros and cons, right? Like a lot of people are learning how to cook now. A lot of people are learning how to do things. So yeah, but women are impacted a lot more. Pick up the slack a lot more, and if other members of the family contribute, then it can be a much more seamless transition.
I really like the
That's
way
what
you
I believe.
packaged it, talking about the emotional labor of women and how yet they need to be laborious and productive emotionally. and probably if they're working economically, as an integral part of their fraternity of work from they come from. And this is all about leadership. This is all about time management. And while I was talking to you, you talked about how you're using this time to write a lot of leadership blogs. So, A, tell us about your leadership blogs. And secondly, where can the viewers access and read your
Right,
blog? That's very important.
right, right. So in 2014, that that was the time when there was this legislation passed about how animal testing was banned in India, especially for the beauty industry. Like a lot of people don't know that the beauty industry, behind all the beauty is a lot of cruelty, right? So that legislation inspired me to talk more about products which are cruelty free in the way they're manufactured. And then I realized that there are a lot of new trends happening in the space of sustainability, right? Whether it's products or solutions or services, and moving towards a more sustainable lifestyle. So each of us can play a role in that. So in my blog, what I do is I talk to people who are at the helm of these movements, people who are like entrepreneurs who are coming up with sustainable solutions, and I talk to them to understand why they're doing this and how can it impact our planet as we know it. Especially in the times of climate change. So that's what I'm focusing on, and my blog educates, it creates awareness, but it also kind of tries to focus on this aspect of consumers where we have to have consumer delight when we buy something, right? So I feel that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are investing a lot of time in making these products, and they're making them in a way which delights us as well. So we would love to use them, and we would feel proud to use them, right? But the market is not ready for these kinds of consumers. So that's where my blog comes into play. It's a simple WordPress blog, and it's just like meryldenise.com/WordPress. That's where it is. So probably I will take it further and have a customized theme
WordPress
and all that
is
as
all about Meryl's leadership statistics, which she's penned down. And I'm sure that if you are still are in your talks with entrepreneurs, I'm sure they would have a very different story to share about before the COVID times and now, because so much of climate change we're already experiencing. So much
well.
of sustainability we're already experiencing from the time that this entire pandemic has hit our country. So I'm sure that your blogs must also be going through a different graph lately because of so
Yes.
much of thoughts which have gone through a metamorphosis because of so many things which has changed around you. So don't you think that the ideation, generally when we are interviewing someone or we are writing about something, more or less we have an idea about what our our guests are going to share with us or what we're going to be hearing from them. But I think because of the change of the timing right now, you must be
Yes.
experiencing a lot of behavioral pattern change in their expression of thoughts. If you
You
could
mentioned,
comment on that.
yeah, you mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned the word behavior change. So some climate scientists who are commenting on COVID have said that while because of all these shutdowns, our carbon footprint is going down, but to make it sustainable, human beings have to change our behavior, right? And that is the bigger challenge, really. So I think that right now is a time where, climate change scientists as well as creators of all of these products, a lot of them have launched these online programs that allow you to understand how to read a zero waste lifestyle, things like that, because everybody's consuming content online, right? So it's sort of given them an opportunity to shine a bit more. And as we all know, we can live with pretty much limited resources, right?
Yes, because
So,
that brings me to my next question, which you really wanted to talk about, if you remember, Meryl, that you wanted to talk about how we humans should be handling the everyday essentials, how we respect it. And now
yes,
is the time when we are realizing the importance of using these everyday essentials. So what is your take on that?
Right, absolutely. Like, I mean, I live in Delhi, and Delhi, to a large extent, has been able to create access to essentials right from the beginning, right? But for instance, a place like Goa struggled immensely in the first week or so of the lockdown. So people were really struggling. There were no milk shops open. You couldn't get bread. They suffered. Like even my parents struggled quite a bit, and I think it, like a place like Goa, which is focused so much on tourism, they kind of realized the value of going back to traditional occupations like agriculture, because everything comes from outside the state. The other aspect, of course, is that I mean, I have been trying to be very mindful about the resources I consume, but if you look at the way we consume, there is so much wastage in our everyday life, right? And sometimes we order more than we need. So I think we need to get into this mindset and this culture of enough. What is my enough, right? So that creates space for other things like happiness, which doesn't come from consuming, from shopping, from emotional eating, right? So yeah, I think it's been a time for all of us to reflect. And the truth is that climate change impacts people who are privileged a lot less. It's always people in the in underserved communities that suffer the most, right? So I think we have to be
So
mindful
what do
of
you have
that.
to say to the viewers about, I mean, if you have to share a tip, what do you want to tell them?
I think my tip would be like try and reduce your ecological footprint, use less plastic, carry your own shopping bags, small everyday incremental changes. You don't have to go zero waste overnight, just tiny steps, and get yourself comfortable. Like it should be part of your mindset. Grow the mindset, and you'll find yourself in a very different space, even within like 2 3 months, I would say.
That's interesting. So, Merin, I would also want to talk about, you have been a fitness freak lately, and sitting on that desk job as the head of communications at Sheroes, the largest global platform for women. And now you are in this fitness regime of yours where you are very passionate about it. So, would you want to share something about that to the viewers also? Because what I'm trying to highlight here is it is very important to take care of yourself. You staying at high end roles, or whether you are an entrepreneur or you're coming from a working background, you're a professional. Sometimes we do tend to forget about these things. And I'm talking about me as well, because even I'm a part of it big time. But yes, to get conscious about it and to work for it. So you have been sharing a lot about that, even in Sheroes, about your journey and in trying to inspire so many women around. So, if you would like to share something about your weight loss journey, because that also is something that everyone can try at these times when they are home and where they don't have much of to and fro to do, so they can optimum use of time they can maintain. So, if you could highlight something about that, please.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, I've struggled with uh, weight issues since I was quite young, because I think when I was growing up, I was part of that generation that had easy access to a lot of these convenient processed foods, right? So our idea of nutrition was a bit skewed, I would say. And then, of course, when you have like mental health is a very important aspect, and that is also an area that I have struggled with over the years, right? And the biggest journey is to really understanding yourself, right? So for me, I think physical fitness also began with um, an emotional and mental health journey, right? To kind of understand myself better. And that helped me get rid of this whole indiscipline around emotional eating, where every time something goes wrong, you take solace in just eating the first thing that's nearby, right? So by tackling that, I could get more disciplined with my eating habits. So eating on time always, And that was very important. The other part is to also look at what are you consuming. It's not about consuming less or consuming more, but what are you eating? Is it high nutrition? Does it give you the nutrients that you need? So I have actually moved completely away from processed bread and a lot of other kinds of processed things which are easy to consume and convenient to consume. So I prefer eating home cooked meals and also moving towards things like millets and all the traditional Indian things that we enjoy eating. I just enjoy all of that. And so, yeah, I think in a nutshell, and yes, of course, physical fitness. I walk for about 40 minutes in a day. Now that there's no opportunity to walk, I just do some physical fitness videos at home. And yeah, I try to finish my last meal by about 8 o'clock, right? So I think if you're committed to your diet and your own fitness, just try to create discipline for yourself and don't be too dependent on what other people are doing. Like create like a nice harmony between yourself and your family members so that they understand what you need to do at this point for yourself. So yeah, mental health, nutrition, and physical activity. These are all aspects of it. And yes, please think positive thoughts. You know,
So this
that
binge,
really helps.
yeah, so this binge eating, Meryl, and I'm sure you'll agree that to have a desk job and to be working in front of the computer the whole day, and which sort of instigates you to eat more, somehow you feel so tired, and the mental health that you're talking about somewhere goes for a toss. And then that's when again you want to eat more because mentally you're feeling so tired and so doomed because you are so physically tired because you've done so much of hard work there right in front of your computer, which is not even few
Yeah.
you know inches away from you. So how does one or should I ask you, what do you do to keep your mental health in stable momentum?
Right, right. It's a mix of different things. I would say one thing is it's quite important to process your feelings. No matter what it is, like it's good to process them because many times we allow them to just we sort of suppress it and then it shows up in some really terrible ways in the future at some point. So that's one, be open to counseling and just talking to friends, talking to people who you can trust about things you're going through, and really taking care of yourself. Like take care of, like I know that we have sedentary jobs, and it's ironic that you're sitting all day and then you're tired. So just make it a point to get up, go talk to your colleague, bring in a little bit of activity into your day. And it's not too difficult. I think it's just about commitment to taking care of yourself.
You said the
So,
magic line, all about commitment.
right, right.
So what are
And
you committing
yeah,
these times, Meryl? As an overall, a woman in these, I don't like calling them times of depression or COVID. I like calling them a time of evolvement, a time of awakening, because it's much more
yes,
positive to talk about these times as such positive times.
right.
Wherein a whole lot of joke is going there that the positive is the negative here, about all about people positive and so anyway, now my question to you is that how do you plan to see your near future, when all of this is over? So what would you take back from these lockdown diaries? What would you write as you are a writer at heart? So if I ask you to say a few words, what would you say about these lockdown diaries?
I think it's a very tough time for the world, and a lot of people are really, really suffering because of it. But if you're lucky in the sense you got a roof above your head, you got food on the table, you got a family, you got some friends. It's really, it's. I mean, I just have a lot of gratitude for these things. Having nice colleagues, have a nice boss. These are things that make it really like you feel a little insulated from the suffering out there, and life is fragile. I feel really lucky that I have such wonderful parents who have always been there for me and are very supportive, and my sister as well. We're a close-knit family. I do feel a lot of gratitude for those in my life. And as a writer, I would keep writing about sustainability because that is the biggest thing that is facing us, right? And there are a lot of people already writing a lot about a lot of other things. But for me, I think this is something that I would want to explore a lot more, and it can help us really change the trajectory of our planet and have a better future for future generations, I would say.
So, Meryl, I'm taking back a lot from today's conversation with you. I'm taking back that one should respect the essentials that we are using every day. One should take care of one's mental health. One should invest in personal growth in these times by taking a different leadership goal, which is, to self-aware yourself with, the pluses and minuses of being strong and how it's going to give you better results in the near future. And definitely what you just mentioned right now, that these times tell us and teach us a lot about gratitude. They teach us about how well equipped we are with these few luxuries, which is, and they're actually luxuries when we say a roti, kapra, and makan, as they call it, and a family. And internet, definitely, for sure. That's what is making me connect to a beautiful soul like you. And yes, viewers, today we have Meryl Denise with us, a Goan by birth and spirit and a writer at heart, the lead communication head at She Rose. And she had an amazing talk with us, sharing her beautiful journey in these times of awareness. And thank you so much, Meryl, for... Yes, Meryl, you want to say something?
Thank you so much. I just want to say that it's really wonderful to have you as a champion on She Rose, because you connect so many different dots between women and theater and creativity and entrepreneurship in children, right? So these are wonderful things that you are bringing to the platform, and community is all about give and take, and you give a lot to our community. So I just wanted to
so
say
much
that, put it on
that. I think I'm one of the lucky ones who have got connected to She Rose, and especially you, my marigold flower, who came all the way from Delhi. And viewers, I call her the marigold flowers because she has this beautiful marigold flower picture, which she always uses in most of her creatives that she wants to share. And I had the privilege to meet her in the Third Eye Summit in Kolkata, which we had in association with She Rose, which was all about the transgender community. And by the way, She Rose has an amazing community on transgenders as well. And it is growing, and there's lots more to interact at She Rose. So do visit the website and the app, where you can log in and be a proud member of She Rose. And I am a proud champion at She Rose, as just Meryl pointed out. So thank you, Meryl, for being today on my show, Women in Stability in Times of Instability. And soon we'll be back again with another entrepreneur professional sharing her story, because women don't lack in competence and confidence. They have an abundance of emotional intelligence, which they can, throw around, and the vibe around them is something which no man can match. And I'm sure I am being a total feminist by saying that, but it gives me immense pride when I interview and get into a conversation with women like Meryl, who inspire me, who motivate me to keep doing what I do. So thank you, Meryl, for being with me today. And I'm going to soon see you in Delhi when all of this is over.
We must meet up when the lockdown is out.
Thank you, Meryl, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.